Today I'm going to work on this field maple and my weapon of choice, a saw. There's a technique you might have heard of where you cut into the trunk of the tree several times to allow you to bend that trunk over. There's very little information about it available on the internet or YouTube, so I thought the best thing to do, experiment. The tree I've got here is a field maple. The first thing I need to do is just remove these branches that are going to get in the way. Because of the lack of information available, I'm just kind of making this up myself, but I believe the technique that I need to do involves sawing through the trunk probably 3 times, removing a wedge of wood, which will then allow the tree to bend over. A bit like you were cutting a tree down, except instead of cutting all the way through, we just cut part of the way through and allow for that bend. I've got a fine-tooth saw here, and I think it is important that it's a fine-tooth because that's going to allow me to do a really nice clean cut through the trunk. I've decided to put a bend in here, and really all I'm going to do is just cut. Cut through about 2/3 of the way, and already it's definitely moving and sort of pivoting on that back section, so I think that's worked well. It's now going to be a question of doing similar cuts from an area very close to that first cut. That's the cuts done. I think 4's enough. It seems to bend over quite nicely. What I now need to do is attach the top of the tree via a piece of wire to the plant pot so that I can bend it down and hold it in position. The wire doesn't have to be particularly strong because I'm not really bending it down. The bending is already done. I'm just holding it in place. So this, I think it's 1.5mm wire, will do the job nicely. I just guide this wire through the hole. I've got a really handy just dead stub up here, which will be perfect for anchoring to. I'll just wrap the wire around there like that. And it's now just a case of me pulling this wire down like that till that's as far as it can possibly go. Once it's in position, I'll just wrap that wire like that. And then once this is in place like that, I can just twist these together like that, very simply. I could add a piece of wire into there if I wanted to increase that pressure, but there's no need to go too mad with this. There's quite a lot of pressure on that holding everything together now. And I'll finish by liberally smearing cut paste all around it. So I want to try and get it into the edges of all these joints. So I'm really sort of giving that a really good coating, getting it in there, and leaving quite a good coating on the surface as well. I thought I'd use this field maple as an experiment because they're a really vigorous, healthy tree and they do grow well. The bark can scar, so it's quite a good indicator of how well a tree recovers from this kind of work in the long term. And it's really now just a question of waiting and seeing how this tree does through the summer. Hopefully it stays nice and healthy. I'll feed it, water it, and if it works, I would like to try this technique on some other trees such as hawthorns, oaks, that kind of tree, and hopefully this becomes a technique that can be used and potentially something, you know, I can use with thick boring material. Well, thanks for joining me on this video. It's just a little experiment really to see if this kind of thing works. If you'd like to follow the progress of this tree, hit subscribe. I'll keep you updated and I'll see you soon.